County Phil Keating is there at the post office. That was investigated last night, correct, Phil?
Absolutely. And then this morning, right around 9 a.m., that is when the FBI confirmed that during that search, which was described yesterday and throughout the evening till about 4 a.m., as a precautionary search with FBI agents and Miami-Dade police officers, as well as the Miami-Dade bomb squad and their dogs. They went into the sorting facility, which handles all incoming mail to then be distributed throughout South Florida, as well as all outgoing mail from South Florida to go elsewhere. They decided to come look through this to see if they found any other suspicious packages. This morning, the FBI confirmed they did find another one of these manila envelopes, return address Debbie Wasserman Schultz. This one addressed to Democratic Senator from New Jersey, Cory Booker. And we don't know whether this was to be sent to his Washington, D.C. office or to his residence in New Jersey or New York. But it had not yet been sent out to the senator. So it was still being sorted and processed here, which is a huge, enormous building, 5 football fields large, and it handles and sorts all the mail, and then before that, it's all, or after that, it's all disseminated again. So right now, there's a heavy police presence just east of Sunrise, Florida. The office of Debbie Wasserman Schultz, which received one of these package bombs Wednesday morning. That is not too far from her office, and what we have seen on the helicopter aerials from the South Florida local news choppers is a heavy police presence, a white van being towed, and traffic all closed down in both directions. And we do believe that this is the exact situation pertaining to a suspect in custody in relation to all of these. We don't know whether the package, the 11th package found here this morning, was actually found by the dogs or found visually, because it would obviously looked very similar to the other packages, but it was also believed that the package that arrived at Debbie Wasserman Schultz's office on Wednesday, which originally was addressed to former Attorney General Eric Holder but was returned to sender, came through this facility and then went to the return to sender address, which was Schultz.
All right, Phil Keating in Florida for us. Thank you.
Plantation is just north of Miami, just west of Fort Lauderdale. That is right next to the community of Sunrise, Florida, where Debbie Wasserman Schultz's offices are. Rick Leventhal joins us. A little more information on the suspect. Rick, what do you have?
Bill, I'm getting confirmation from a law enforcement source that the suspect who's been arrested in connection with these package bombs, first of all, they've been looking at him for at least 24 hours now, that he is a former New York resident who was arrested in Aventura, Florida, which is north of Miami Beach, north of North Miami Beach. I'm told he's a white male in his 50s, possibly 56-year-old white male, again, arrested or taken into custody in Aventura, Florida, and that he has prior arrests for terroristic threats. So this is someone who was known to law enforcement, someone who they obviously were watching very closely, and then had gathered enough evidence on to take into custody this morning in Aventura, Florida, a white male in his 50s, a former New Yorker, arrested in connection with these package bombs.
Just to be clear, you say former New Yorker and former Florida resident? Is that the information?
Well, current Florida resident taken into custody in Aventura, Florida, which is, anyone down in Florida knows, is north of Miami Beach, near the Broward County line, the north side of Miami Beach.
Okay. Now, when you describe prior arrests, do you have more information on those arrests?
What I know is that prior arrests for terroristic threats. What my law enforcement source said is this is the kind of guy who, writes letters to judges or has a beef with someone and gets caught up in it and is, arrested. Yeah. Apparently, he was arrested for those kinds of threats. Someone who was instigating, and this person allegedly then took it a step further and sent all these package bombs. I don't have a lot more background on him except that he was arrested in Florida in Aventura.
Then I'll let you go talk to all your sources and come back with more information. You say that they've been watching him for 24 hours. That would make sense now, because when the NYPD and John Miller came out 25 minutes ago, they didn't say much, and they did not take questions. In all likelihood, they knew.
Well, they had a lot of evidence. They had all of these envelopes and the evidence inside those envelopes, the powder and the pipes and all the pieces that were used to assemble those devices. And they had the postmarks and presumably a lot of video surveillance footage from the location where they were mailed from. There was a tremendous amount of evidence, and they also were then able to zero in on an area, individuals who were known to law enforcement, and what I'm told is this individual was in fact known to law enforcement, had prior arrests for terroristic threats, and is now in custody in connection with these bombs that were sent. A white male in his 50s, a former New Yorker who now is living in Florida.
Thank you, Rick. Get more information coming back, okay? Just so our viewers know, Plantation, Florida, screen left. We assume that is a vehicle that has a connection, if not owned by the suspect, that has now been pursued, as you see the cover going on top. You look at a map, Plantation, Florida to Sunrise, Florida. It could be just a matter of miles between this location and where Debbie Wasserman Schultz's office is located, which was the return address on all 12 that we have seen so far. So things are starting to add up, and they're starting to piece together and starting to make a little more sense than they have.
And to confirm what we know at this moment, that we know the DOJ has confirmed that the suspect is